Hey! Yo, hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman Legacy. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Batman Legacy is a continuation of Batman Contagion, or at least a loose sequel to it. So with that said, if you have not read Batman Contagion, or you plan on reading it at some point, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. The reason for that is a few things that I talk about in this video are probably going to spoil what happens in Contagion. So, again, if you don't like spoilers, you probably shouldn't watch it. However, if you don't give a flying fuck about spoilers, then go right ahead and watch this video. So with that said, in Batman Contagion, Gotham was struck by the Clint, a deadly Ebola offspring that just basically kills off anyone who has it. But Batman, along with the help of his friends, was able to find a cure for the Clint, and thus Gotham was cured. Well, yeah, a couple 100,000 people died, but for the most part, it was a success. However, in Legacy, we find out that while the Clint was not cured, actually, what happened is the Clint was put in remission, and that it could come back at any time, within a couple of hours, a couple of days, weeks, months, years. It could stay dormant forever. It doesn't matter. At some point in time, the Clint can return. So that means Batman has to go out and find a cure for this disease. A real cure for that. And in addition to that, he needs to find out who actually released the Clint onto Gotham. Because if you remember, it was never actually explained how this happened. Who released the Clint onto Gotham itself. In this, we find out who does. And I will be spoiling who it is. Before Batman, Robin, and Nightwing leave to go on their big adventure to stop evil in the plague the Clint, they leave Gotham in the hands of Huntress. Yes, Gotham in the hands of Huntress. That's like leaving your baby under the care of a drug addict who is currently high. I mean, Huntress is a dangerous individual that really is kind of a... well, it's Huntress. So anyways, Batman leaves Huntress in charge of Gotham while he's gone. So Robin, Nightwing, and Batman go out based on a lead that they get from Azrael and find out who is actually the person that released the Clint. So spoiler alert here. The person that released the Clint onto Gotham was none other than Ra's al Ghul. Now Ra's al Ghul, if you don't know anything about this character, then I feel bad for you. Because Ra's al Ghul is probably one of the most powerful and deadly foes that Batman ever had. He's more rich and more powerful than Batman will ever be. He controls the League of Assassins. He is immortal, lives for thousands of years, and in addition to that, he is a crazy eco-terrorist. He has more resources than God. You know, this guy could whack off and his sperm probably could cure cancer. That's how resourceful Ra's al Ghul is. In addition to that, Ra's al Ghul has also teamed up with none other than Bane, the man that broke the bat. Yes. So, Ra's al Ghul's big plan is that he plans to release the plague in certain parts of the world and basically kill off about 90% of the world population in order to proceed with his master plan in creating a new race and creating a world where man isn't destroying the ecosphere. So Batman needs to contend with Ra's al Ghul, probably the most deadliest and most resourceful villain that Batman has ever encountered, in addition to that, also dealing with none other than Bane, the man who broke him, the man that defeated Batman. So Batman has his hands tied up, and he has his, he really has a lot of shit that he has to deal with. So the story is really just them fighting Bane and Ra's al Ghul, in addition to that, going various parts of the world preventing the virus. You meet up with a lot of, I want to say, second and third-dairy Batman supporting characters. If you read Batman, A Hero Reborn, Blind Justice, and Nightfall, various of characters that show up in those stories show up in this and actually help out Robin, Nightwing, and Batman. So with that said, I'm going to end that part of the review here. I don't want to spoil too much about this book. So on to the good, bad, and whether or not you should get it. Because there's a lot of good, and it's a big bad. First thing is that this is definitely better than Batman Contagion, in that it's more well structured and it feels more like a story from beginning to end. In addition to that, just like Nightfall, Contagion, in No Man's Land, Chuck Dixon mixes things up with Batman, sending him on a chase around the world to stop Ra's al Ghul. This isn't your typical Batman story, but it plays out very nicely and it has a good Batman feel to it. In addition to that, it feels very much like a Batman, Robin, Nightwing story because all the characters play a very much equal part in it. So that's a very good point, and just how the story is structured and the writing and the dialogue in this is very nice. Another thing is that this has some great fight scenes. Absolute great fight scenes. Ra's al Ghul versus Nightwing, Batman versus Ra's al Ghul, and Batman vs. Bane was awesome. The rematch of the century. It was great. It was like... It makes the book good. The fight scenes are really good in this. The art is also very good, too. There's very rare points where the art is kind of meh, because it does bounce back and forth like various other crossover comics with Batman. But for the most part, the art is good. And I enjoyed the art. It's a very classy art. So, that's another good point to this. The characters were portrayed true to form and very nice. In addition to that, I also liked how it ended because Batman wasn't actually part of the ending. Batman was back in Gotham fighting Bane and dealing with saving Gotham, while Nightwing, Robin, and Huntress were the ones that went after Ra's al Ghul. So the ending is quite interesting. But with that said, on to the bad. And this is a big one. Cover price for this is $17.99 or $17.95. That's how much I paid. Batman Legacy is one of the most expensive Batman comics out there, especially if you buy it online. On Amazon currently right now it's in the $80 range. $80 to buy this on Amazon, and it's about $70 if you want to buy it on eBay. I consider this one of the more expensive four, and I call them the expensive four Batman comics for a reason. This, Batman Legacy, Chronicle, A Lonely Place of Dying, and Prey are some of the most expensive and hard to get your hands on Batman stories. Prey ranges from $25 to $35, which doesn't seem that much compared to the other ones. But A Lonely Place of Dying ranges from about $30 to maybe $40. Chronicle ranges from $50 up, and Legacy ranges for about $80. So they're very expensive Batman stories, and they're kind of a bitch to get your hands on. I saw this once in my comic store, and I decided not to get it. I don't know why. I wasn't thinking. But I didn't get it. And I kicked myself in the ass for the longest time not getting it. I looked everywhere. I even went to Comic-Con to get it, and it wasn't there. Luckily, 3 days later, my store had it again. God bless my comic store. In case you guys want to know, my comic store is Comically Speaking in Reading, Massachusetts. Fantastic comic store. Fantastic. It's a bit of a drive for me to go there, but it's well worth it. So they had it there. I bought it for cover price. But I lucked out. In general, if you don't find this in stores, the only way you're going to get it is buying it online, and that means paying a hefty price for it. I would not pay over cover price for this. Well, I would have, but I would not if I was you. The reason for this is, despite how good this is, it's still, I mean, who would want to pay that much for the comic? If you're a Batman fanatic like me, usually you have a limit for comics. But in addition to that, if you're a Batman fanatic like me, you'll go out of your way for stuff that you want. There's one thing that people don't realize about collectors is that if there's something that we want, we're willing to pay the price for it. But that's the only bad about this, honestly. Is just its price. I mean, $17.95 is okay for cover price, but to buy it online is ridiculous, and it's a rare comic to find because it's out of print. It's one of those out-of-print comics. But, on a whole, this story was really good. I talked to a few people that have read this before me, and they kind of gave me mixed views about it, but this was really good. Far better than Contagion. This has some really good writing in it, really good character portrayal, really good fight scenes. The story flowed very well. It's a quick read because it flows very nicely. Chuck Dixon doing what Chuck Dixon does best, pull out great Batman stories. If you find this in stores, I would buy it. If not for its rarity, then just for the fact that it's a great Batman story. I do recommend picking up Contagion beforehand because Contagion is a bit necessary for this. However, it's not absolutely necessary. You'll be missing some of the details, but you can go into this without picking up Contagion. However, I do recommend getting it. But this is a great book. I enjoyed it a lot. I really did. It's just really the price, people. Do you really want to spend that much for a book? So with that said, I'm going to end this review here. Batman Legacy, beautiful. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.